All right, hey everyone, this is Nick from Mecha Warehouse, and this is the June monthly recap. Decided to film this from home just for some efficiency with the holiday weekend and things like that. But so let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about what's been going on, things like that. And June, I'd say, was a lot better month than May. We left May off with probably the heaviest monthly recap we've done since starting the monthly recap part. Just a lot going on between having to reduce the headcount, reduce the size of the team, and some of the challenges we've been facing. It was a very difficult month, and I'd say that June was definitely a better month in many ways. We're finding some success in simplifying things. Kate and I are reducing some of the added workload on ourselves just by getting rid of things that don't need to be done, and just trying to figure out how to do things more efficiently. And I think some of that efficiency just comes from less communication being needed, because we're just doing the things rather than have to communicate things that need to be done and stuff like that. Overall, I'm definitely feeling less frustrated, which is good. And it was a better month overall. On the warehouse side, Sean really stepped up and I feel like has filled the gap. He's had help from Ryan, was a per diem. He's kind of helping us out a little bit more this summer. He works in the schools, so there's a bunch of time over the summer, so that's helped fill the immediate gap with Alex leaving and things like that. And overall, like I said, things have been going good. I feel really good about how the warehouse is operating. We had the short holiday week. We managed to get ahead of it with an extra packing shift. Sean and Ryan stepping up and helping with that, and it, I think, made a huge difference in us not kind of falling behind despite losing a packing day, with the 4th being in the middle of the week and things like that. So it's been good so far. And on top of that, June was the first month that Kate and I were able to take a real vacation. We've taken a few, last year we took kind of a vacation, but it was to a home owned by my parents, their vacation spot on the Cape. And this year we went on an actual vacation. We're gone for the better part of a week and a half, I think. And it was good to kind of illustrate for us what the bare minimum is that needs to get done, what's the bare minimum we need to do, and help us kind of find where that balance is, how to do things, what stuff is essential, what stuff doesn't need to be done. And that was helpful. The vacation itself was helpful, restful, a good chance to kind of get away and not be thinking about work in the warehouse and all that kind of stuff, and that was really good. Still recovering in a lot of ways. I feel like there's anytime you go on vacation, there's always a mountain of stuff to do when you get back, all the things that you didn't do while you're on vacation that weren't able to be covered. And I'm still working through that, but it's getting kind of under control with this weekend a little bit. So I'm hopefully back to balance pretty soon, and then we'll get to see what the future really holds and what the long-term plan is, and things like that. So it's been good. The other big thing that happened in June was the arrival of the 2024 Discord coin. I actually forgot to bring them home. I brought them to the warehouse because I had to have them shipped to my house because they decided to try to deliver them after hours multiple times. And rather than try to have somebody wait at the warehouse until 6 or 7 p.m. to wait for a delivery, I just had them delivered to my house and then ended up bringing them in. So I brought them there. They got shipped out. I don't have one to show you, so I'll cut something onto the screen, maybe a picture or something like that. They came out great. Really happy to get them. We only have very few spares, kind of waiting for all of the coins that are in transit right now to arrive before we attempt to figure out how to offload that additional handful of so just in case there's an issue or something like that. But if you're a Discord member, keep your eyes open for that. We'll be doing that in the next week or two probably. And I think that's kind of it for the recap. Overall, things are going well and getting back on track. We still have a lot to figure out over the next few months and try to figure out what the long-term plan is and how that will play out. But I'm hopeful and feeling a lot more positive than I was a month ago when we shot the last recap. All that said, we're going to move on to Q&A. So this is where I answer questions from you, the viewers. If you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it next week. And we've got a series of questions here. All right. Okay, first up from GN Gunpla. How have you and the crew been doing after May's changes? So like I kind of mentioned earlier in the video, pretty well. I mean, they're difficult changes. Anytime you have to reduce staff and do things like that, it's never a good thing, right? Never something you're happy about. And there's extra workload, trying to figure things out, stuff like that comes with it as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where both edges kind of suck in a lot of ways. But that said, I think things have been going relatively smoothly considering, like I said, we're trying to figure out more efficient ways of doing things. I feel like we've been pretty successful at that. At least I have. Kate's still trying to work through the stuff that's on her plate and trying to get her workload down because she's obviously got all the mothering stuff to do and all the home stuff that she deals with day to day that's still on her plate. So we're still trying to figure that out. But overall, things have been going relatively smoothly. And like I said, Sean's really stepped up and he's really owning the warehouse side of things and has been doing a great job kind of making sure that's continuing to run smoothly. So I think everybody's hanging in there and it's working out fairly well. And hopefully it continues on that path and just gets better from here. All right, next up, Chowdered Jeefies says, how do you panel line a painted kit? How can I remove the excess panel liner? It's a great question. So when I paint a kit, I usually use some sort of panel line wash. Personally, I use Vallejo Mecha for all my painting stuff. It's acrylic, it's non-toxic, I like it. A lot of people use Tamiya panel line accent. Doesn't really matter which one you use for the most part, as long as you use it properly. Generally, you want to top coat before you put it on after the paint, just to give a smoother, glossier surface that it will run on easier and to protect the paint underneath. And then you usually use a paintbrush, or you can use something like the panel line pens from Disbay, for example. It's kind of like a quill kind of tip that helps you get the panel line ink into the panel line. And it will actually, through capillary action, move through that line and kind of fill it on its own as long as you put enough in there. Once it's dried or dried enough, you can use some sort of thinner. So if I use Vallejo Mecha, I just use Vallejo Mecha thinner and on a Q-tip and can wipe off the excess. If you use Tamiya panel line accent, you'd want enamel thinner. A lot of people actually use lighter fluid as that thinning agent to wipe it off as well. So hopefully that helps. Good luck with the panel lining. Chumpa Gunpla, history of the business. So I'm not going to go to the full history here because we've talked about it at length in a few different videos. I'll try to remember to link up above or below or wherever one or more of those videos, so that way you can check it out and get the more in-depth history. But basically, I started the business trying to do something quote-unquote stupid simple, which turns out to not be really true about the Gunpla business as far as I'm concerned at this point. But try to get into something simpler. I was kind of sick of engineering at the time, wanted to do something else. Started selling on Amazon a bit, and then ultimately ended up making the store. We started out of the house here, the hallway just outside my office here, ended up moving up to the attic, and then ultimately to 2 different warehouses over the last few years. That's the very, very short version. But like I said, check out the link below, above, wherever, for the longer history of Mecha Warehouse. Okay, next up, last up, plastic germs. What's the new course of action after the recent Mecha Warehouse turbulence? So I think I also kind of alluded to this, but the big picture game plan, we kind of broke out a 30, 60, 90-day plan when we made these changes. The immediate 30-day, the goal was to really just get to a place where we simplify things, we feel like we can do the things that need to be done, take over the responsibilities of the team members who are no longer part of the team, and figure all that stuff out. The second phase of that plan is try to reduce some inventory. We have a bunch of stuff that we don't need, either isn't moving very well or we have too much of, and try to get that down with the ultimate goal of hopefully being to move to a smaller warehouse. If we're going to continue, that's something that we kind of need to do. The warehouse we're in right now is very large, it's very expensive, and if we can get rid of that extra cost, that'll go a long way to make the business more profitable, make it more long-term sustainable, and just have it make more sense, right? I don't want to put in dozens of hours a week on top of a full-time job and all the other stuff I'm doing to not get any money at the end of the day, because it all has to go back in the business. And so that's probably one of the biggest things that has to happen there. And then the third phase is actually carrying out the move and then figuring out operations in whatever that new space is. So we're kind of in that middle phase right now, trying to reduce some inventory and start figuring out what we need for space and start doing the search for that, and just studying whether that even makes sense or if there's another option that's better, whether it be for us, for the business, whatever, things like that. So without going into any more like nitty-gritty detail, that's kind of the game plan over the next few months, and be interesting to see how it plays out. It feels like my opinion and my thoughts on where it's going to go and how it's going to go are changing still fairly regularly. Like I said, I'm much more positive about things than I was a month ago, probably just because we've got some distance from the most negative things that happened, and we'll kind of see how it all plays out. So that's it for questions. Like I said before, if you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it next time. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.